Okay, hello. This is Anson Garcia, and if you've been following the Expressway training series, this is going to be strange to you because I'm actually jumping ahead a little bit on a section. So the next section in line was to be the deployment considerations. And I'm going to skip over that, and I'm going to do that later. I want to go over the licensing and migration, mainly because of B2B video. So I've tried to explain this a few times. I didn't understand it too much when I first learned of it, and I got a good grasp of it now, and hopefully I can convey that through a demo and a few slides. And can convey why would you do this versus SBC and what's the difference and things like that. So let's take a look. Let's dive in real quick. How will this be licensed? Well, as you already know, if you watched the prior videos, the Expressway C&E is free, and specifically the mobile and remote access. Remember the MRA? That's the feature in Expressway that's free. So Expressway has a thing called license keys. You light up stuff and light up features in there, and that's the one that's free. Traditionally, the VCS product, which Expressway is, it's just a little bit different in the way it's licensed. They light things up and light features up, and with keys, license keys. So, what is business-to-business video? Business-to-business video is the ability to call outside to another business. In layman's terms, that's it. I can call from my enterprise to other enterprises on the internet. It costs $1,500 a session, and I think it's like $750 or something for Expressway E and $750 for Expressway C, and you need both of them because since this media is going to go through. But together, it's $1,500 a session. However many calls you want, B2B, voice video, it's going to be $1,500. And if you go look on the website, and when you're choosing Expressway, you'll see that there's some products underneath that. Microsoft integration, which we'll talk about later, and this Expressway Rich Media, which was called differently in the VCS world. Okay, hopefully I don't jump around too much on these slides. I put them together quickly. What are rich media sessions, and does a customer need them? So traditionally, the VCS product was a full-fledged IPBX, which I've explained to you guys before. It was a video, PBX, I would call it. It had things like HU23 and had a lot of gatekeeper stuff, remote camera control, and all these mechanisms and protocols to really lend itself to video. And one of the things they had was the control in the Expressway. As you guys, hopefully you've watched the earlier videos where I kind of laid those out and what the differences are between them, and the Traversal Zone and things like that enable it to outside Jabber clients to come in and these TC endpoints to come in. So remember that product was called Core and Edge. All right, now we're dealing with Expressway C&E. It's the same product, so the same capabilities are really there. So what they did is they said, okay, with Expressway, it's just VCS, but Expressway is just, you get this free key to be able to bring Jabber clients in and TC endpoints and things like that. But maybe people want to use it for B2B voice video as well. So we'll make that an option. If you buy Expressway, you can also buy this B2B sessions. So the VCS basically has this B2B capability, and the easiest way to say it, if two customers or two enterprises have VCS, Core, and Edge, or in our case, Expressway C&E. They bought these particular licenses. Let's say they bought 1 session or 2 sessions. They could make calls between them, voice video calls between them. So this is different, and it's important to note that when we say federation, you could call this federation. We can call this Voice Video or Rich Media Federation, which is different than IM&P Federation. So they rely on different underlying mechanisms, different protocols, and specifically, more importantly, different DNS SRV records, and the way we find somebody at yourdomain.com if you're doing a SIP invite or a voice video call is different than trying to federate with someone with an IM&P, which uses XMPP traditionally. So there are 2 different types of applications or protocols, and 2 different ways to find them. And you can also think of it as mail also. So that's another type of application and protocol. I can contact somebody at yourdomain.com, and there's some DNS magic that happens in the background. It goes to my Exchange servers, my mail servers, and then that hunts down via DNS who's responsible for mydomain.com, and there's some authority that's in charge of that, and there's going to be an MX record. We call it an MX record, and then the magic of transferring that email from one domain, mydomain.com to yourdomain.com, and that specific user is just going to happen automatically. It's well known. It's based on DNS. It's based on MX records, and anyway, so hopefully that gives you a little grasp on how this stuff works. So what does it do? What do these things do? And really, you can break it down into 3 things. It enables SIP URI dialing globally. All right, so again, enables SIP URI dialing globally, and the reason it does that, I'm going to skip to number 3 right here, is VCS and Expressway C&E provide open, standard-based voice and video federation. And what that means is exactly as what I was talking about before. There's a certain way that we look up DNS records, namely, if you want to get technical, name authority pointers, and then that name authority pointer is going to point us to some SRV, and that SRV is going to point us to something that's ready to take SIP, a SIP invite. So again, it's analogous to mail. If you think about, everyone should know how mail works with MX records and things like that. It's very similar to that. Obviously, we have a direct connection, and we're going to do voice video, and that's a little bit similar, the media that travels over that connection. Okay, and it's important to understand how CUCM or Call Manager 9 works, and I want to give you a preview on that, and that'll kind of glue things together why you would sell or want to do rich media sessions with your Expressway. So Cisco 9.0, and let's take a look at. We'll take a look at this is Cisco. This is UCM 9.12. And let's take a look at what happens here. Let me go to a user, and I'm going to pick on myself here, Anson Garcia. And you can see that it has a directory URI right here. So this directory URI, in my case, and in most cases, is going to come from Active Directory. And that's why I'm Active Directory integrated. So I can choose what to pull in for my directory URI. So we can use Microsoft's RTCP field, which Link uses, or we can choose to use the directory URI. But mainly to understand, we can bring that directory URI and glue it to a user. Okay, and that's an important distinction if you know SIP and you know SIP registration and how that happens, because a user's URI would be included in that user's registration process. This is different. So we got a user from Active Directory, it's synced up to the directory inside Communication Manager, and we're gluing an entity that we found inside Active Directory, and we're bringing that over and attaching it to a user as well. Okay, so what do all devices have to have in Call Manager? Unlike the traditional VCS or Link, let's say, where you can have all URI-based dialing, we have to have a number. That's where Call Manager came from. It came from numbers, in E164 number. So let's look at, can I pick on myself again? Let's see if I can find my phone in here. There we go, and I'll pick on my phone. Let's DX here. So in this is my phone, and we have a directory number that's attached to the phone. Now the phone belongs to myself, so I'm gluing the user to the phone. The phone then has a number glued to it, and what comes over, because I'm the owner of this phone, is my user URI that's attached to my username. Okay, so it's not attached to the device or anything like that. Again, usually when you do SIP stuff, you log in as anson.garcia@bzbdemo.net on your particular device. Call Manager, again, is not like that. There's an overlay of URIs. So I can have several aliases here if I want to put more and add them. So really, it's a translation that happens in the background. If I pick up a phone on this Call Manager and pick up a phone that supports URI dialing and dial anson.garcia@bzbdemo.net, it's going to look at my, it's going to look through this user database, and it's going to find a URI, and it's going to find the phone that belongs to me, and then it's going to dial the number of that phone. It does that in the background, so it's not really dialing the URI, it's now dialing the phone. So it's important to make that distinction first before we go forward. Okay, so let's go on. You're going to get this here in just a second, how all this works. So Expressway B2B, how does it work? As I said before, it's different than IMP Federation. It's business to business video audio federation. And in a nutshell, and we're going to dive into this here in just a second, but I just want to get this picture in your head. You can have an endpoint, Expressway C. Oh, I should have used a different picture here. Let's see if I have it right here. Okay, I do not, but I apologize, and maybe I'll come back and edit this later, but let's pretend that this Jabber client, or this client, is registered to Call Manager. Call Manager then has a SIP trunk to Expressway C. Expressway C, of course, we know how all this magic works with the traversal, and then we have the internet out here, and we have this DNS stuff going on out here where we can find anson.garcia at vc.verizon.com or anson.garcia at somedomain.com. DNS is going to provide us with that name authority pointer, and then from that, the conclusion of all that, we're going to get an A record. We're going to get some IP address to go contact and send the SIP invite to, and then it would get over here, let's say another VCS Control. These could be Expressway C&Es as well. And then if we had that, obviously we'd have a Call Manager back here, and then this guy hanging off the Call Manager. And then again, if it's Call Manager, the user database would say anson.garcia at mydomain.com. Let me look up that user. Here's the user URI. It's attached to a user. The user is in charge of this particular phone. That phone is 123 123 12345. Let's ring that phone. So that's kind of how it works. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about security, but before we only have one slide on that. Before we do that, let's really look at how this works, or let me try to explain it better through a demo. So I have some just a small graphic here, and for me in my head it's easier for me to look at this and understand what's going on. Hopefully it's the same for you. So we have Call Manager over here. So Call Manager is everything over here on the left of this line right here. Then we have VCS Control. This could be Expressway C, it could be Expressway E here, but VCS Control is everything between this line and then this is a firewall here. So again, remember, I'm calling this VCS. In my environment I have VCS handling these type of calls, but Expressway again can do the same thing. I just choose to separate them. So don't pay attention to this saying VCS. You can use it interchangeably with Expressway C, Expressway E. And then we have Expressway over here, E, or VCS Expressway. And so between this firewall and the internet, that's where these components live. So let's take a look at what happens here. I'm going to dial a number, and let's grab this number. For example, I'm going to dial a domain. In Call Manager you have SIP route patterns, so you can do SIP route patterns, and let's see, I'll show you those. Those are in call routing and SIP route patterns, and you can see I have several SIP route patterns here. I have one for all domains, and then I have explicitly these two here, catch this and go away. So this is a regular route pattern. I'm going to create the route pattern, and then I'm going to point it to a route list, route group, or directly to a trunk. Okay, the trunk that I've created, let's go back to the diagram because I want to follow this. The trunk, here's the trunk that I've created, and it points to an IP address, which is the VCS. So let's take a look at that. VCS Houston, I can go over here, look at my trunks, look at VCS Houston. Here it is, right here, and you can see the most important part of this is an IP address down here. This could be a DNS name, SRV. If you have a cluster of VCSs, that's the way how you would round robin, or you could weight them, differently and things like that. But it goes to an IP address. So okay, we've looked at the route pattern, we've looked at the gateway it's pointing to, we've looked at the gateway itself, and now let's jump over to VCS itself and then look at how we're going to go through, because eventually what we're going to do is we're going to call something. Well, I'm going to use this route pattern. We're going to call something here at join.verizon.com. It's going to go through here, hit VCS Control. It's going to go through the traversal to VCS Expressway, and then out here in internet land and do this DNS lookup and find that particular endpoint. So let's jump to VCS Control and look at what we call a zone. A zone is nothing more than a trunk. So let's bring up our VCS again. Excuse me, let's see, here it is here. This is control. Let's look at zones. I'm going to look at a zone here, and then you'll see that I have called it to CUCM. So this is my SIP trunk to CUCM. Regular SIP trunk stuff, port numbers, if you're using H323, just SIP, and then the IP address. That's my Call Manager IP address, and then I can see it says active. There's an options ping that's going back and forth between these machines, and just signifying that it's up. So okay, so we've gone from, bring my drawing again, now we're here. Now we're going to jump over. So there's some stuff that happens in here, and some search spaces, and search and some transforms and things like that I do in here. I'm not going to show you all that. I just want to give you the big picture on how things are going to flow. So I do some magic in here, and then I'm going to spit this invite out through the Traversal Zone. Remember, the Traversal Zone is that pipe, that encrypted pipe that's up already. So let's look at the Traversal Zone. We're going to go to Zones again, and we're going to look at the Traversal Zone client, and there's the Traversal Zone, and we can see it's going to jump over to another IP address, which is the Expressway E, or in my case, the VCS Expressway. Okay, so now we've looked at, we are here. Let's keep going. We're going to go to the Expressway, VCS Expressway, and we're going to look at this over here. Now I won't come back to this, but we're going to look here at the Traversal Zone. We won't look at the transforms, and we'll go to the DNS Zone. Okay, we're Expressway here. We're going to go to zones. Here's the Traversal Zone that's going to grab. You can see it's active. This is going to facing the call manager, let's say, facing the control. This is going to bring the invite in, and then we're going to go back. Again, there's some things happening in the background that make it go out this DNS zone. And then this DNS zone is a special zone that does DNS lookups, namely, name authority pointer. It looks for a particular SRV record, and then from that SRV record we're going to get an A record, and then from that A record we're going to be able to know where to send that invite. Okay, hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. So where are we? We've kind of looked at all this, and then this DNS zone is pointing out to the internet. All right, so you see there's no a zone is, remember, a trunk, but there's no IP address here. Basically what happens with this zone is since it's a DNS zone, a type DNS zone, it's going to rely on DNS to figure out where to send the invite. So hence we're not pointing it out anywhere. Now the machine itself needs to have access to DNS and of course a route out to the internet. Okay, so let's take a look at how this works. My environment here. This is a Jabber video client. I am registered. For you Verizon folks that are watching this, you'll know that I am registered to the vc.verizon domain. So that's our OBC domain. You can register to it. So I'm connected up, and I'm Anson.Garcia. You can see right there, I'm Anson.Garcia at vc.verizon.com. So I'm sitting on internet land with this Jabber video client. I have nothing to do with Call Manager in the lab here, or Expressway or VCS or anything like that. I'm out on the internet, and that's where this client sits. So we'll put him over there. And then I have I want to use an endpoint here. Now this endpoint, if we go look over here, this endpoint is registered to a Call Manager here in my environment. So this endpoint, this TC endpoint, it's an SX20, is sitting over here in CUM. So it's connected to CUCM. And what we're going to do is we're going to dial from over here. We're going to dial out to internet land to Anson.Garcia at vc.verizon.com. So that's what we're going to do. And if you can see here, I won't probably hit that route pattern in Call Manager. I won't hit that route pattern in Call Manager. I'm probably going to hit this one here, and you can see this goes the same way. All right, so let's try it. We can, in TC software, we can actually remote control the devices. And what I'm going to do here, this SX is sitting over there across the room, and I'm going to dial Anson.Garcia at vc.verizon.com. Okay, so I'm just going to make a call there. And you can see that an incoming call is coming on my Jabber video here. So I can answer it real quick, just show you it works, and I'll close it. I don't want to take up too much bandwidth here. So we just did this first scenario. So we called from Call Manager through VCS Control, or Expressway C, through VCS Expressway, or Expressway E, out to the internet, and there's no via DNS. So there was no prior knowledge of where Anson.Garcia at vc.verizon.com was registered. It was just out on the internet, and I'm logged into this infrastructure that we have in the cloud. Okay, so hopefully you got a little bit of taste of that and how that worked. Now I'm going to do the reverse. So I'm going to be out in internet land, and I'm going to call a user, and let's say we'll use the same user. We'll use we go over here, we'll use this user is SX20. I believe he's SX20, and we can go over here and remember how this works. We have an end user, SX20, and remember it pulled over a directory URI from Active Directory, and then since this user is the owner of the SX20, which is right here, see, right there, and then see, it's really a number that's going to be dialed. So again, it's going to be translated inside Call Manager. We can go to this directory number also, and you can see that that directory URI is attached here. So okay, let's do this reverse and let's see what's going on. And I'll show you a little bit of the background stuff here in just a second. So I'm going to, let's put that away. Let's get this guy up here. I'll put that guy over there. We'll bring this guy up, and I'll bring him down a little bit. Okay, remember, internet LAN, Call Manager LAN over here. I'm going to dial a little behind there. So let's try this again. We're dialing sx20.user@vzbdemo.net. Alright. We can see that out in internet land, here comes this call in. It's ringing the SX20 here, and I can answer that call right here. If I wanted to, I'll go ahead and hang that up right away. And let me do that for something else. So how about we bring up a Jabber client that's registered internally. Let's take a look at this Jabber client here. Here's Mr. Jack Sparrow. He's registered internally. Let's log in. He's got his Jabber client up, and again, I know in my Active Directory it's first name dot last name, so it's jack.sparrow@vzbdemo.net. Okay, there we go. Hear the background phone over there, since that's turned up, and then I see I can answer it here on the Jabber client as well if I wanted to. And then video will start going and all that stuff. Alright, so hopefully that brings it together for you, what's going on. The only thing else I wanted to show you real quickly is this right here. So let me see if I can get to it here. We want to go here. Okay, what I wanted to show you here, this is my internet-facing DNS. So GoDaddy hosts the domain vzbdemo.net, and I just wanted to show you the A records that exist. Here's the VCS E right here. So let's that 109.68 there. And if you look at my SRV records, the one we were actually contacting when this DNS lookup happen from this VC, Anson.Garcia@vc.verizon.com, our infrastructure, our Verizon infrastructure, just went out and did a DNS query on the name authority pointer for vzbdemo.net. They queried this DNS server, or GoDaddy's DNS server, since they host my external DNS, responded and what it responded with the authority, and then it did an SRV lookup, and this SRV then was going to be TLS, this SIP TLS right here. So this is the SRV that it looked up, and after it looked up this, the target was VCSE at vzbdemo.net. Obviously, then that contacted, did a name lookup for that VC. Where is he at? There he is, VCSE. There's the IP addresses, and that's where that SIP invite or that TLS handshake happened, and then the SIP invite, and then the media and all that stuff happened back there. So again, it's very simple. It's just a DNS exercise, and you have global DNS dialing. So anybody can light this up if they have VCS or any standards-based audio video, and you've now over the internet got global URI dialing. Okay, so why use VCS? Why not point a SIP trunk out? Why can't Call Manager do this and take care of all that? Well, there's a lot of good reasons, way more than I talk about here, but this is just a very cursory review of B2B, and then we can go through these bullets real quick. You can use SIP TLS in all segments. In other words, remember we had Call Manager back here, and then we have this guy, and then we have Expressway C, Expressway E, and then we have over here, could be other expressways or whatever, but I can use TLS anywhere I want. So I can use it all the way, or maybe, most likely, most companies won't do encryption inside their enterprise, right, over here where Call Manager is, but they'll do encryption with PKI and digital certificates all the way out. As soon as they hit their firewall, they go this way, and out here they're going to want to use PKI infrastructure and use SIP TLS. Okay, so in other words, we can do encryption on behalf of, so to speak. So all this would be encrypted. Call Manager or the endpoint over here inside the enterprise has no idea that there's being encryption or anything like that. And then the same goes for over here too. They can do the same thing out here. You can SIP routes just like regular Call Manager route patterns to allow blocking domain. What I mean here is you can use SIP routes in your Call Manager if you need some security, like I don't want RussianMafia.com to be contacted. My enterprise users are not to call RussianMafia.com. So you can do that. It's SIP routes. It's route patterns that we're used to in CUCM. So all those mechanisms apply for translation and all those other things and blocking. And then Traversal. We want to talk a little bit about that. I've talked about that before. There's no inbound ports that are open here. This is all outbound server client stuff or server client stuff, and then this pipe opens. So there's no inbound ports that are open for this to work. Expressway in the DMZ is allowed to have non-public address. So this Expressway E, or if you want to call it VCS Expressway, it doesn't matter, can have a non-public address, and it can take care of all of that traversal and things like that inside of it. And then Expressway in the DMZ, minimize inbound ports to document ranges that need to be open through public-facing firewall. Okay, obviously there has to be some ports on the public-facing firewall, and those are ports for TLS and things like that, for media and things like that for this particular application. We're not talking Jabber clients anymore, right? We're talking media flowing through here. So hopefully that cleared it up for you, and I hope the demo brought it together for you. If you have any questions, just contact me at anson.garcia@one.verizon.com. Thanks.